Oops, daisy. Fix the camera. Come on, wobbly camera. Oh dear. There, smash. Right. Let's get cracking. Those things are warming up. Start rhubarb, I think. Quite dramatic entry music. Wow. Really dramatic. Never before has rhubarb cutting been so epic. Oops, baby. Mr. Nosler. Hello, hello. Good afternoon to you, my good man. How are you? How is Sunday treating you so far? You can probably guess what I'm just making here whilst we were getting warmed up. Just another batch of rhubarb. I figured I'd just get going because I think everyone's seen me make this before. Varying, of course, between soup and otherwise. But did you enjoy the rest of your night? How's Sunday been? Got a couple of food experiments for you to see what you think. So that's very quickly. Could just be something we've got going on in the background. Double the squeezing power. Ooh. Oh, I've just realised I've still got the music going. Oh, that was silly. Let me just squeeze these and I'll turn it off. Okay. Relaxing, calming music, also to the sounds of squish. Ruins it a bit, doesn't it? Sunday is going well. Been a bit rainy, so started watching Mad Men on Netflix. Oh, Okay. What's it about? I've no idea, actually. I know the name, but I'm struggling to bring it to mind. We are excellent. Mrs. Allen is currently in the middle of a gripping chapter on Korean history, so she's just finishing that off before she joins us in a little while. Good read. Wash my hands. Hang on. Let's get that background music off. And I've been playing with our new toy, the coffee machine. Still working on it. Hang on, let me turn this off. Wait a second. Yes, dramatic music, lovely. No fade out there, just stop. Right, we just need some sugar for that, and then we can move on to our various snacks. So no, we're excellent. We had a bit of a late start today, mostly because we didn't realise how long the room would take us last night, so we ended up having dinner quite late and got to bed a little late. So a nice relaxed and gentle start to the day, which is always very nice. Let's just get 50 grams of sugar. Interesting, I'm going to try this with a twist actually. It's about an American advertising agency in the 1960s. Okay. I imagine when it was all at a time when it was all very cutthroat and stuff. So I'm going to try something here. Why not? Because the rhubarb was on reduced price anyway. But I've got the remains of cinnamon sugar. I wonder how that will go. Because if I've got 50 grams of it, or actually even close, 43. Do you know what that'll do actually? We're going to use that. Maybe just a little extra. Because there was quite a bit of rhubarb, so we'll just bring it up to around. Ooh, well, that lump that just fell out brings it to 50. I think. No, nearly. Just do 50 grams of it. I don't like too much sugar in this because I like it quite tart. So did you enjoy the inaugural stream, Mr. Nelson? And of course, last night, beans finished off our night. You know, how can one complain in such marvellous culinary simplicity? So, that's simply used up. That's been hanging around for a while. Right, let's get the rhubarb on the go, out the way, and then we'll get on to the main affair of the day. Shall we? Here we go. Lovely. Right, let's move that. Actually, I might need that, so I'll hang on to that. Low heat. And this time we'll try and not make rhubarb soup. This has gone wrong a couple of times recently, so let's just... Oh, hang on, I'm doing the recipe from memory. It also needed some water as well. There we go. 2 tablespoons of water to our rhubarb. See, there I am saying I'm not going to show anyone the thing going on in the background because they're so used to it, and here I am missing out fairly key elements. Never mind. So yes, do you enjoy the room? Or the room 2 last night? It's me and Mrs. Al thinking that we'll blaze through this, and we were not quite right. Didn't do too badly though. So that's going to be, oops, daisy, once I finish wrecking the kitchen, that will come next. So, what we are going to do now is the cauliflower tots that we mentioned, for which I need the oven warming up and preheating. So let's get that going. Which are a sort of take on an American tater tot, of which I've never had. But it should be interesting. It's a sort of healthy version. We're also going to do a quick coronation potato salad just whilst it's in the oven. I'll do that one second. We ran out of tomatoes to do the ketchup tomatoes, so we'll do them another time. Where's it gone? I had the recipe just a moment ago. Where have I? Come on, where are you? Here we go. So yes, that, I'll show you the picture. This is what we're aiming for. So light and fluffy. So we need it at 200. And we're going to microwave. It's quite easy in many ways. You just microwave the potatoes to start with. So let's just start with that. easy start. We'll pop that out of the way. Stream was very entertaining, aside from the typing in the back. Yeah, I need to work on that bit. Shall call for suggestions first before we start leaving you there going, no, yes, no, yep. Oh, dear me. So we'll hopefully do maybe at least one chapter, maybe two. And Mrs. Al and I will then sort of sign off in the early evening and go about dinner. And then I suppose on comes the next week. Who knows what's in store. And at least this time we won't spend 30 minutes trying to work out why no one can see the screen. I'm going to take some online guidance. I've already started, and it will smooth its way. I suppose the same way that the food ones were a bit hit and miss at the start as we got ourselves going. Same sort of principle, I think. We'll get there. As though I suppose we will try and get everyone going into Monday in a jolly state of mind. Monday can be trying at the best of times. So for this if anyone's interested, Mr. Nosler or anyone in the background, so far all the recipe for this involves is effectively potato and cauliflower. So it's not exactly extravagant on its core ingredients. And what you do, and I've done this in advance, I'll show you in a second, with the cauliflower what you're doing is blitzing it down so it's the consistency of rice. Now, because that's a fairly noisy operation, I've done that in advance. But all that is, honestly, is putting it in a food blender. So I'm not, I suppose anyone who's watching this, sticking it in a food blender and pulsing it is an easy task. So you've not missed much by me doing that in advance. So, go. Give our rhubarb a quick stir. See how that's getting along. Oh, starting to come down nicely. Just leave that to keep doing its thing. Hopefully we shan't make a mess of that like we did last time. Right. So we want 240 grams of potato. So let's just measure these post peel. Nearest damn it, that's alright. That's okay. I'm just a little bit over, so that means we have just a little bit heavy on the potato side, so hopefully that won't cause us much of a problem. So, oh, in fact, I've just realised, I'm not sure the recipe even called for me to oh, it did. Stab, huh. That's interesting. It's a recipe that both says prod it with a fork and microwave it, but also says diced and peeled. Which way around does it mean? Hang on a sec. Oh, well, that's very strange. Well, I'm going to follow the recipe exactly, but it says peel it and then put it into cubes and then prod it with a fork, which is not something I've ever done before, but all right, okay. We'll go with it. We'll follow the recipe exactly. Preheat, stab the potato with a fork. This is unusual. Hang on, whilst I stir with one hand, I think the recipe's confused itself here. So, half potato, scoop the flesh into a bowl, mash with a fork. Why on earth would it tell you to peel and cut into cubes a potato that it says microwave without doing anything to it? I think that's a typo. Because the next stage is going to have me basically take the potato, scoop the flesh into a bowl, which indicates you shouldn't have done anything with it yet, mash with a fork. So they basically want to get it to being mashed potato. So it doesn't matter. We're already ad-libbing. This is already gone. We're already off-piste, Mr. Nosler. We are going elsewhere with the recipe. So let's. If it needs a fast cook, then we'll just. I don't know. That's very strange. Might point out to them that seems to be a typo. Never mind. We shall ad-lib. We shall produce, I'm sure, a tasty result. I must admit, I'm already feeling slightly on edge at the notion of everybody seeing ghosts in the background or whatever, and the ghostly shadow of a cannon. Jumping. Notice this with a few of the recipes from that book. They say one thing, then you've got this book, have you, Mr. Nosler? Perhaps another book would be a good idea. Quite possibly. I've heard a lot of good things about this. It's the low calorie essence of the recipes that got me interested. I suppose the key thing here is, and this is what we'll stick up on Discord, is that you can ad lib a recipe and you can just sort of figure it out, and sort of, as we all go along, and we'll figure it out, and we'll make our own changes, we'll make our own edits. And interestingly, the rhubarb is not quite steaming. Maybe the cinnamon's offsetting it. Interesting. Right, okay. Bang, crash, wallop. So instead of poking it with a fork, I think what we'll do is cover it with water. We'll give it a little water in there. Pop it in the microwave. I suppose actually the other way I could have done this is just boil it, but never mind. Let's just see how we get on. So let's give that 5 minutes, and then we'll see what that looks like. So that's that stage. So this is our blitzed cauliflower, which will go into the microwave. Oh gosh! Once you leave it a while, it's quite a fragrance. I mean, I'm a fan of cauliflower, but that's quite strong flavour there. So you want it the texture of rice. So let's just try and bring that close to the camera without throwing it everywhere. So quite small in its particles, quite loose. Well, everyone knows what rice is like. Aiming for something like that. So let's see if I see any bits that have missed slightly. So even that big, it's still quite rice-like. So that will do quite nicely, I think. That's so. This bit so far, all okay. Let's have another stir of our rhubarb, which is still not stewing down. Interesting. Don't fail me for a second time, rhubarb. Come on. Okay. So whilst that's doing that, we can also start with our very simple coronation potato salad. And why it's so simple is that there's no cooking involved in this. You see where I drove. No sponsorship. Could be any supermarket that sells a potato in a tin. But this one just happened to be Tesco. What can you do? So let's see about their recipe for this, which involves no cooking whatsoever. I really should have marked this start of the pages here. Do you know what the week's got on hold for you, Mr. Nosler? I know last week Monday was a bit of a trial. Is this one looking any better? I hope so. It's always hard when Monday's the hardest day, I think, because it's the furthest away from anything that you actually might want to do at the weekend. And what also Mrs. Al pointed out is whether or not this could also be done in the air fryer that we just purchased. I'm also going to do that soon. I'm going to take you around all the new gazmos? Gadgets and gizmos was what I was trying to say there. So here we go. So I just want a bowl. So we want yogurt, curry powder, turmeric, garam masala. I'm skipping the coriander because we're not that much of a fan of it. In fact, there doesn't really seem to be just... I think you can add it in any order, to be honest. It's hardly going to be a problem doing it the wrong way around. So let's... I suppose this one isn't so much cooking as it is making a salad. But nevertheless, we're going to say it counts. And I've broken the scales. Come on, scales. Thank you. There we are. Now, because this is the health recipe, it calls for fat-free yogurt, but accidentally I ate it. So I should just use normal yogurt. What have you got on? Near your house they are applying... Oh. Hopefully it's not too loud and disruptive. I do hope so. We've encountered some in the nearby-ish area. So I'm just going to add the yogurt on. Nice thing is here as well, if you're a fan of yogurt particularly, is it's not calling for mayonnaise, which I know several of our guests are put off by that because they're just not fans of mayonnaise at all, which is fair enough. So that's our yogurt added. Reset those scales. And then we want to add in 1 celery stick, which I'll just top and tail and give it a quick wash. When you say they're building a bridge nearby, is it sort of on your doorstep, or is it sort of a little bit farther away so at least you're not being interrupted? As ever, of course, if you're buying your vegetables, to be honest, if you're buying your vegetables anywhere, it's sort of common sense to give them a wash before you deploy them into your meals, but particularly if you're getting them straight from farmers or your farm food shop, give them a good wash and a scrub. Ooh. So put them in there. It's all going on. Hang on, the rhubarb's sizzling, the microwave is pinging at me. Right. See, I've made a mess. Hang on. Let's clean that up. Where's my blue cloth? Oops, I do. Now what's happened there is the water's boiled over. So, I'm just going to clean this out rather than letting the starch sit, so bear with me just a moment, folks. Sorry, Mr. Nosler, it's not great viewing so far. Oh gosh, that's hot. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Right, let's get that cleaned out. There we go. Right, let's see. It's about a 5-minute walk. Yeah, I mean, we've had some which has been literally on our doorstep, and it is... You have to take a deep breath sometimes, don't you? And just say, right, okay. So, no, to my mind, that's not even remotely done. So, let's put that back in for a bit longer. Keep a better eye on it this time. I'll put it in just for 2 minutes at a time. So how long have you, because it's interesting, I didn't realise you had the same book, Mr. Nosler. Have you tried many of the recipes from it? Oh, rhubarb, hang on. Whee! Hang on, that's got away from me. Come on. Woo, that's a hot spatula. Dear, dear, dear. Bit of a messy one today, this. Clean as we go. Clean as we go. And afterwards. I don't know, you may have seen, Mr. Nosler, some of my clean down times stretch into the very late hours, so I'm trying, for my own sake, to try and keep on top of it as I'm going along. Right, so we've got that going. The rhubarb, for some reason, is not cooperating, which is just highly unfortunate. Let's see, what else do we want? 6 spring onions, which we have got. And we've got spinach. This really is quite a healthy sort of version of the salad. You've read through a few of them, yeah, okay. Well, I think, to be honest with these, I won't ever recommend the recipe outright if I don't think it's working. I think this instantly, to me, cries of one which can do with a bit of tweaking and tailoring, especially if you've got a book that's. I mean, let's face it, if people are trying healthy eating, maybe they're not massively into cooking themselves, I'd find that very frustrating if someone said, but hang on a minute, you said peel and chop it into into diced sections, but this bit says don't, and the next bit says you're taking off the skin and mashing it, which is what you do with a boiled potato. I get frustrated by that. And I'm a fairly laid-back sort of fella. Except when it comes to setting up computer game streams, which you'll see get me hot and bothered under the collar. Oh dear, the potato's done the same thing again. This isn't working very well. Oh dear. Yes, this recipe has already got for me a bit of a question mark over it, because none of this quite seems to be working the way it should. Right. Right, I think the answer here is I'm going to abandon this microwaving business because it's just... the steps are just not working. All I'm doing is I'm spraying water all over the microwave, when I think what they meant to say was make a baked potato. So we are going to abandon ship on this plan. Forget that, that's not working. So, and neither is, it seems, the rhubarb is starting to stew down a little bit. Quite a lot of juice there, so let's just leave that on and be patient with that. How are we doing? Okay, now that is in fairness now a more mashed potato-like consistency, or rather, once attacked with a fork it will be anyway. So let's drain that off and get the cauliflower in, because that's got a 30-minute bake time on it. So let's just drain this off, whatever's left. So yeah, I think the answer is put the corrected version on Discord. That's my view. I think that's the way to do it. Because otherwise you've just got recipes that I'm saying, oh yes, go ahead and try this, and actually it's not going to do that good. So this, it says Blitzen food process, that's the cauliflower. To the consistency of rice, we've got that. Place in a bowl, cover with cling film. Really? In a microwave? Some fairly large questions emerging. I've done cling film in a microwave. I'll just melt it. I'm just going to put the lid on. 10 minutes on high. I'm sorry, I'm not really that comfortable with putting cling film in a microwave. Yes, corrected version's a good idea. Yes, good, super. We will do that. Absolutely. Right. And I'm also going to do this in batches. I'm not just going to stick it on for 10 minutes, because so far there's been some, shall we say, questionable steps in the recipe. Right, I'm just going to mash this. Normally I would add any kind of seasoning to mashed potato, but I'm trying to adhere to the recipe as close as it intended, and I don't know whether or not it intends this to have any kind of salt and pepper flavour to it. Which is my natural instinct, is when I see mashed potatoes to say, right, salt and pepper. But on this occasion, we shall just leave it as is. Right. So, in a sort of backwards sort of way, and having to clean the microwave twice, we have our mashed potato. I think you could easily skip that step and just say, get X amount of mashed potato, and that would do it nicely, rather than this faffing about with microwave and peel and boil, and however you want to get to mashed potato, get it to mashed potato, I think is the long and short of it. Right, rhubarb is slowly becoming more stewed, but this will be a good experiment because I've not, as I say, it was reduced price rhubarb. There were bits of it that were not so good, which I had to peel and trim away before we got started. So a little experiment, we'll see how the cinnamon sticks with it. If it overpowers it, I can recommend don't do that. Because another particular favourite of mine in sort of the same coronation vein is coronation chicken. Have you ever tried? Are you much of a fan of these sorts of recipes, Mr. Nosley? The coronation chicken, the coronation potato salad, coronation turkey. That's a good one too. So, spring onions. In we go. And what we're thinking of, and again, actually, this you might be able to help, Mr. Nosler. You know that we put in the suggestions box. Are you watching this through a phone, or do you watch it through your computer? Because I've noticed you can't see it on the phone, and I'm not sure whether or not it works. So if you can try, any kind of even just a silly suggestion in the suggestion box, it would be really helpful, because I'd like just to see whether or not it can be a coronation chicken is yet to try turkey. Oh, the turkey's amazing. Again, to be honest, I'd be stealing my mother's recipe. I don't know if it's an official recipe, but I shall see if it can be stolen with her permission or borrowed with every intention of returning. Not so much one for Mrs. R. She's not a fan of melted cheese. Again, which is no criticism. It's each to their own. Which is why I don't. I mean, this is going to be a snack principally for me, if I'm entirely honest. And the healthy snacks are what we're endeavouring for the pair of us. And so far, looking very tasty. No mayonnaise. Fly there. Go. And then we need. It says, well, a handful of chopped spinach leaves. I'll go for a generous handful. Currently viewing through a phone, but can get on laptop and have a go if you. At your leisure, Mr. Nosler, if you just happen to be there, it'd be most helpful just to know if we've got it right. I must admit, oddly enough, for the food streams, I've become really well versed and used to sort of setting it up with the phone. So actually, it feels a bit strange doing it with the computer now, which is not what I envisaged when I got cracking. But we've been waiting. Cauliflower's out. Well, obviously it took a while to get the computer in and to get all of that going, because we obviously had COVID occur. So let's have a look. Let's see. It's coming down not the most pleasant smell, I'm going to be honest with you. It smells almost sweaty. It's like me when I've been at the gym too long. I smell like microwaved cauliflower. Just give me a minute, you'll give it a go. You're a star. Thank you, Mr. I really appreciate it. I really do. Truly very helpful. As indeed you always are. You're an absolute gent. So yes, I apparently smell like cauliflower when I go to the gym. That's awful. Oh, I hope that smells better by the time we eat it. Goodness gracious. Right. Right, so that was 4 minutes of a total of 10. Keep going. Give it another 4 and another stir. She'll tell Mrs. L when she comes down. I've worked out what it is I smell of once I've been to the gym. Dee. How's our rhubarb coming along? Yes, that's coming along nicely now. Boiling all the way down. The cinnamon has given it a completely different colour complexion as well. When I get sweaty, I smell like freshly baked bread. You fortunate fellow! That freshly baked bread. That's amazing. Nobody can complain against the smell of freshly baked bread. Truly, sir, you are clearly the biological way forward. They should bottle your essence. They'll work out how it is you smell of freshly baked bread. I often thought that'd be a great smell to pump into nightclubs. Not that I've been to a nightclub for quite a while. I suppose last time I did it, if Mrs. Howell hadn't been with me, they'd have probably thought that I was there picking somebody up. Yes, the waiting area is over there. No, I'm actually... Oh, okay, right. It's your obscure hidden... It's a good hidden talent. I like that one. Be honest, it's better than sweaty cauliflower. I'd say I'd trade you, but I think you'd be a madman to give that one up. Right, so there's just a handful or so of spinach leaves, actually quite a big handful, but that's okay by me. I like spinach. So let's give this just maybe a smaller spoon, actually. Just give this a bit of a mix. So that's our, just been piling it on, so let's mix in the yoghurt, got our spring onions, our spinach, our celery. No seasoning in yet, I'll put that in last and then give it a stir once this is all mixed together, in a sort of hope that it'll bind it together quite nicely. So there we go. You've got that same kind of creamy texture that, you know, the mayonnaise would normally give it, but none of the health issue. Oh, I tell you what, with yoghurt, very nice. Right, I think that's also going to do us for the rhubarb. So let's turn that off and let that cool down. So I'll just show you, Mr. Noz. I know you've seen us do the rhubarb a few times, but I don't know if you can see, the colour is completely different. The smell is incredibly strong of cinnamon. I'm just hoping I've not overpowered that. But it's a much darker colour this time, so I'm going to let that sit. I'm going to let it cool down and solidify. And once it has, we'll get a sterilised jar. Of course, we all know about sterilising our jars, and don't need to repeat that. But if you're watching in the background and you've no idea, put it in the oven at 100 or so degrees for about 9 minutes once you've given it a good wash in hot water. Jar sterilised. Good for pickling, fermenting, storing your rhubarb for a week whilst you eat it. So, sweaty cauliflower is about to come out. So I distracted myself. So things that we're thinking of coming up, I'm going to have a little fun in the kitchen. I'll show you the coffee machine, the rice steamer, which I particularly love, the air fryer, which we've already had a few experiments with. Work in progress. I think it requires some tweaking to get it right. And particularly, I want to give a crack at pork gyoza, because we've done it before. We've got all the ingredients in by happenstance. I think that would be a rather nice one to do. Now that is very hot, and I was very silly not to wear oven gloves. Twice. Yes, okay, so the more you microwave this, the sweatier it smells. Okay, so that's 8 minutes. Just stir that together. Give it another 2 minutes. And for a third time I've grabbed it. I'm clearly not learning my lesson. Ooh, that is very hot indeed. Right, so another 2 minutes and that'll be its full 10. So in that time, let's see if we can just quickly finish off. You tried to use your laptop to drop a suggestion, but for some reason it keeps crashing. Try. Oh. Your laptop or the bar. Either way, if we're breaking technology, don't worry, Mr. Noz. I'm still wondering which one people would like to have the most, to be honest, or whether or not maybe an overlay, so when we're doing this, people can say, you know, start a poll or something, or if I ask a question, say, how likely is it going to fail? And then, you know, click and you can do that. Maybe that's a bit better than having a suggestions box. I'm not sure. But it's clearly, they're quite easy to change, so, you know, I'm happy to sort of have a fiddle and see what people like the most. Right. Here comes the time I'm going to have the recipe book in your laptop. I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry if I've caused any technological problems there. I did not intend, I promise. Where are we? Right, they always in this say, except they haven't this time, so sea, salt and black pepper, a granulated sweetener, well we haven't got that. Garam masala, turmeric. Delve into the spice cupboard. And we want mild curry powder. Have I got any open to use first? Let's just check. No, I don't. Okie dokie. So, right. I've sort of run out of space here, so I'll do it. Close that for a second. Stick a fork in it. That'll do. Lovely. So let's go delving. What have we got? Methy seeds, don't need that. Garam masala, turmeric, we need those two. Curry powder, hey presto. It's quite easy. Aha, we shall learn this time. Now don't worry, it's a little over 3 years old now and inevitably... Three... You know, I've had laptops that have lasted only... You do well at 3 years. It's gracious. So it's a sad thing these days, is that these things just don't last as... I sound like I'm being very old now. But they're just not made to last. I suppose just because it's not profitable. If someone can hold on to something for 15 years, a company will think, well, they'll hold on to it for 15 years. We won't sell a model every year. Which is, I think, the wrong way of thinking about things, but there you go, there you go. It's our little corner of the world. I'll just see, have I got any that are open? Don't believe that I do. Do always love opening that bag. It smells delightful. I'm going to let the cauliflower sit for a second. We'll finish off this one, put it to one side, and then that's one, well, that's two done at that point. So half a teaspoon turmeric. Half a teaspoon, I think it's at half. That was the sound of a fork escaping. Oh God. Right, let's put that over there. Half of garam masala. And then a teaspoon of curry powder. Okie dokie. Half of the garam masala, and then let's open up the curry powder. A teaspoon of that in. I'll leave them open for now because we'll do a quick taste test and see whether or not we think we need anything else in. So let's just season appropriately. Always a fan of the old pepperoo. In that goes. We'll hang back on the salt because we've got quite a few salty ingredients in there. So let's just try and mix all that together. Good smells coming off it, if nothing else. Do you know what, I'm going to throw caution to the wind here. I think we could do, I think that might be not brave enough seasoning. Hang on, let's do a teaspoonful of garam masala. Maybe the turmeric's alright. Let's just try up it by a half a teaspoon each for the garam masala and the curry powder. And I remember my late grandfather, he owned a washing machine, which he proudly told us he had moved into his house and he'd owned it ever since. And that was decades. This just shows the difference in my view. Because a clever company will think, well, if it works for decades, they'll come back to us every time it needs a part replacing and we'll make our money that way. Grow our reputation in that sense. There we go. Totally agree. It's going to stop buying iPhones now that Apple... Yes, I think that's disgraceful, isn't it? It's just, of course we make them run slower. No, you don't... Okay, I'm about to go on a tiny rant here, but I've said more than once that if the companies of the world that made phones just stopped making them for 1 year, could you imagine the leap in technological development that could be achieved on a philanthropic basis if instead of making a new incarnation of the same damn phone that already exists, they put their minds to, oh God, I don't know, go totally sci-fi, teleportation, or even something simple like a universal mobile phone, equalise the playing field with third world countries, or The list is endless. I mean, every time you see it, it's the brand new, all improved, and it's the exact same bloody thing as it was last time. Pardon my French. Let's have a quick taste test. I'm going to just take one of these potatoes in half. Bit of all of the ingredients here. That's not bad. I personally think it could do with more yogurt. I think that's not got quite enough creaminess to it. In fact, I'm so certain of that, I'm going to add some more. But it gives a nice mild kick for the... broken the scales again, come on. So let's just take that off. So, we put in 150 originally. I'm going to put in just an extra 25. I think that will do it. I've taken the spoon now, so yes, that's my... I just don't understand why we can't just perhaps focus on something more important than the next incarnation of exactly the same phone. Clearly, I'm never going to get sponsored here by, I'm never going to get sponsored anyway, but it's certainly not by the likes of, Apple. I decry them. Decry them, damn it. Make something useful. And now I'm done. Back to cooking. There we go. Sorry. Very easily taken off piece there. That's, I think, already slightly better. There's just more sauce element to that. So true. I think all phone companies need to make a phone every... Yeah. Couldn't agree more. Don't need to be... Every time Mrs. Al and I go to try and get our phone contract sorted, like, people look at us bewildered saying, but you can have the most modern this and most modern... I don't want the most modern this and modern... I must admit, actually, now with the cooking, I wouldn't maybe mind going up 1 or 2 steps more than my normal ambit, but not to the nth degrees that keep coming out, especially not with the... Not to get too hyperbolic, but lies, saying they're brand new and it's, totally innovative, and it's not. It's the same phone. I'm sorry, it just is. Anyway, back to cooking. Away from rants. You got me there very easily, I hasten to add. Clearly, as soon as we got onto phones, it was somewhere I was going anyway. Oh, dear me. Mrs. Al's watching upstairs, so she's probably rolling her eyes at this point, going, oh no, here he goes. So back to the slightly odd recipe. So we've allowed it to cool, which, to be honest, was slightly accidental. Use a clean tea towel or a fine sieve to squeeze out the excess moisture. I'm going to go for the sieve, and then we need another bowl. Hey presto. So we then want to put flesh into the bowl, mix it with the squeezed out cauliflower, rest of our ingredients in, season, and make a sticky sausages. I hope this is good, Mr. Nosler. I'm just going to say, I hope this is good. I've got a lot of hopes for this one, and so far the recipe is bewildering me slightly. Right, where's my sieve? Hang on about. What have I done with it? Here we go. I'd take you over to the sink, but it's a bomb site, so I think you're probably better off over here, where it's all nice and clean. But I will... In fact, actually, I'll show you over the bowl. So, I'm basically going to put as much of this in as I can, and then I'm going to just take a rolling pin, and I'm going to press out, or anything flat, maybe even a spatula will do. I'm just going to press out any of the moisture that is still there. And I've just realised actually I don't need another bowl at all, because I've got this one here. So I'll double down on avoiding washing up. Leave that over here. Out of curiosity, you got iPhones at the moment. Are you a long-term iPhone user, Mr. Nosler? Are you just sort of gotten a bit sick of it, or do you go between them? I must admit, I use the Android phone. Oh, I broke that. The Android phones myself. But honestly, sometimes you think there's no difference between them. Right, we're just going to squeeze this out with all the moisture. Right, let's just give that a bit of a squeeze. Go. Well, I'll be honest, Mr. Nosler, no moisture at all appears to be coming out. I've either had a very unmoist cauliflower, or something is up. Well, we followed the recipe, and no moisture came out. So let's have that back in its bowl. Take that out. We then want our mashed potato mixture going in. Now here's where, again, this is totally new recipe, so again you can see I'm cleaning a lot here because the cauliflower rice, if we call it that, does tend to go everywhere. So the next thing it would like, let's see, garlic granules. Well, we got them. They like their garlic and their onion granules, these guys with these recipes. How much do you want? Let's have a look. Half of the onion granules and a full of the garlic. Okay. iPhone 7. I'm planning to swap to another phone since the battery life is 2 hours. You see, that's the bit that would get me. I think that's just not on. That is to me intentional. And I know they've admitted it, but you just think, you can't make a phone last longer than... Here's one for me. Why, again, one of all the phone companies don't just say, right, let's just get our heads together for a year and let's come up with micro-engineered solar panels on the backs of all phones. There you go. Endless communication. Can you imagine all of the things you could do with a phone that you could just hold it up and it charges? Dear God, it feels so hard. It definitely sounds like it's time to step away. Give them no more of your money. Here we go, sea salt and black pepper. Well, we can definitely do that. So I could have in fact just made mashed potato as normal, which is unfortunate. Oh yes, as well as the pork gyoza. I know, I got distracted again. So we've got pork gyoza. Going to do some more of the banana bread we did last time because it was delicious, and Mrs. Owl will take care of that for us. Superstar maker of banana bread. And here's where I know the recipe's ad-libbing a little bit, because we then called for xanthan gum, which, to be honest, I use so little I had to buy it for this one because I had absolutely none of it in the house. There's some form of I'm not entirely sure what it does, to be fair. Let's have a look on the back of the packet once I've sprinkled this in. So that's a teaspoon. It's a teaspoon, a little bit actually. So let's put that in here. So xanthan gum, I'm sure you know this, Mr. Nosler, can apparently help to bind gluten-free breads and baked goods. Okay, so it's a thickening agent, it's a binding agent. So that will be hopefully what will keep its structure as we now move forward. Right, so 2 eggs, 1 for the mix, 1 beaten for basting. Okay, so let's get our egg for mixing. In that goes. Try not to get any shell on it, manage that. So now we mix. Now I may in fact need a bigger spoon than that one. So we'll attack it with 2 at once. So let's got a small teaspoon for just taking it off there. Let's start to mix this together. Let's bring more onto shot, shall we? So I'll be honest, so far this recipe is a terribly complicated way, in my opinion, of saying make some mashed potato, blitz cauliflower, squeeze the moisture out, season and mix. So what we might do, in fact, is because this takes a while to cook, unless we've got something else to be doing in the kitchen, We might let it cook and get the room started once this is in, and then we'll have a quick intermission, bring them up. I'll throw the pictures up onto Instagram perhaps. Right, so let's... some ASMR noises for you there, Mr. Nosler. And just as well, a quick hello if there's anybody just dropping in and watching quietly in the background. Hope you're well, hope you're having a lovely weekend. Say hello if you like. If not, you're always welcome, no matter what. So you can sit and watch this going ahead. So there we go. I think that's well enough mixed for me. So, next. Let's see what we need next. Line a baking tray with foil, spray liberally. So, foil, in fact, you know what, I'll have a quick glass of water because I put the oven on a while ago to get it to the right temperature, and it's taken so long, I'm absolutely sweltering now. It's baking or greaseproof. With foil, right, okay. So here we go, let's bring this onto shot. So apparently this makes 30 to 40 quote-unquote little sausages. So to be fair, I might just do this by hand and just shape them. So we'll do it with, again, the low-cal oil. Let's see how that does, because we're following this recipe fairly exactingly. We might just need to modify it in the future. Don't know, what are your thoughts so far, Mr. Nozzo? You're very kindly watching the whole thing. I mean, it is, in effect, a potato and cauliflower sausage. I'm going to need a second baking tray, I think, so that's one. I think the question will be, if they taste good, then I'll take it back, and I'll think this is probably worthy of more experimentation. But at the moment, I'm hoping what we're not making is, in effect, a rather bland combination of cauliflower and potato. Because I could think you could hurl more ingredients in here. I think, actually, the one time we were talking about it last, I was contemplating doing a full goby version of this. Yeah, I think that's the killer, isn't it? How is this going to taste? Because it says you can make 30 to 40. Have I read that right? 30 to 40 short sausage shapes. Really, out of that much? Okay, I'm going to make them even shorter then, I think. Let's make that an even... Maybe I'm too used to our local butcher and the size of the sausages we get for him, so let's make them even smaller. I mean, to be fair, this bit, again, I won't be too negative about the recipe. I'll give it its positives where I can. This bit is easy enough because it is... Well, it's mashed potato. I'm just, you know, handling mashed potato. There's no complication here. It's just a question of how many can I get. And what's interesting is the picture. I might even do a side-by-side. The picture almost shows them as being sort of, I don't know, like a long croque-en-bouche sort of looking thing. But to me, these are more like bite-sized. Oh, that's very strange, this. Anyway, never mind. Let's just plough on. We've followed the recipe exactly, so if it doesn't work, you can either blame user error or the recipe. And watching back on the stream, we're probably going to find several attempts at user error creeping in there, but so definitely going to need more than one baking tray. Let's see if we can make how many of these we can actually fit on a tray. I don't think that many more. And my sausage size is creeping back up again. I think it's as the oil is coming off my hands. Let's just... So we've got 4, 8, 9, 10. No, sorry, that's this is I take it back. This is never going to make 30 to 40 unless they are the stingiest sausages you've ever seen. because that's 12 and I've only got, I think, the same mixture again, so you might make 24 to 30 perhaps. So I'll just fit in 2 at the end, and then we'll just grab another baking tray, assuming that I've been a clever fella and washed them up. I have. Super duper. Right, let's get this off my hands because we're going to want to have that in the bowl. Let's just quickly wash that off. So, okay, I mean, let's just show them up. I mean, at the moment they look like slightly anemic sausages, if we put it that way. Oh, there we go. So let's do that again. Let's do a second tray, so we'll move them out of the way. I think a grind of salt and pepper on the top might also make all the difference. Did I? Yes. Right, so let's do that again. So I think the thing as well is that, sort of advocating things we like in life. I'm not a fan of this constant technological upgrades. I'm also a fan of a healthy life wherever you can manage it. And to be honest, it's so difficult. And I do really feel for anyone that's wanting to, either get in shape or get in better shape or stay in shape. It's so hard these days, just because we all are going and have to go just that little bit faster, unless we can find a way not to. So I think, even if the recipe's not perfect, I still say hats off to the authors for trying to come up with these things. I suppose it's then up to us to try them, see where they don't work, change them to our own preference and flavour. So here I'm actually trying something different. I'm basically quenelling them on the teaspoon instead. So we'll see if that makes any difference. So here we go. So a sort of cheating quenelle, really. MasterChef would look upon me disapprovingly, as would perhaps indeed my own mother. There we go. So, following, and bearing in mind as well, we had slightly too much potato in. That's not made 30 to 40. That has only made, I mean, that one's tiny, that's an absolute tiddler. That has made us 3, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Only made 21. So, okay, so first disagreement with the recipe, it doesn't make as many as it says, unless they are blisteringly small. But the photographs, I'll show you in a sec, Mr. Nosler, are much larger. So let's, I think, just apply a little bit more of this low-calorie spray. It's unfortunately also going absolutely everywhere, so just creating more washing up for myself. Salt and pepper. Because everything can be improved with a bit of salt and pepper. So, there we go. Nearly. So. Apart from beans, Mr. Nosler, I suppose, what's your go-to? Are you much of an exercise buff? Do you have certain preferences for things that you're doing? Here we go. So there's our... I don't know if the light's showing it. They look slightly better just by virtue of having a bit of seasoning on the top. I'll just check I've not missed a step, because something seems a bit odd about all this. No, I don't think so. 15 minutes. There we are. Right. Let's just bring, because you just saw how they looked there. That to me looks nothing like the photographs that they're showing. To me, that's almost the size of a ciabatta. So we bake for 15 minutes, then we spray the tops again before turning them. Okay. And there's some basting with the egg in the middle. Okay, right. In that case, I don't suppose anyone wants to see washing up be done. That's washing upstream. That's that. I think I'd have to change it to ASMR, to be honest, and say, here is the washing up. Let's have a taste, whilst that's getting started, of the rhubarb. Let's have a look at that. Right, let's get another tasting spoon. Right. Actually, that's not bad. Ooh. Okay, hang on. The cinnamon's coming in there with a bit of a kick. Not that keen on the exercise in particular. Yeah. When I was much younger, before I met Mrs. Albein, about a decade probably, I did play a lot of football. I will confess, watching football left me dreadfully bored. Not really. I mean, I used to be very, very decades ago. Did a lot of sport. You know, you could throw my hand to anything because I just was large and bulky and acted like a wrecking ball and just sort of ploughed through everything. Not with any great skill. No, these days it's fitness. It's keeping the old bones working. Keeping myself as healthy as I can. With things like this. So, you know, reducing sugar and trying healthy recipes and ditching out mayonnaise. I'm all for, you know, for example, with the salad, all for those kind of things. The cinnamon here is, I think, too much for the rhubarb. However, the level of sugar is okay because you still get the kick of rhubarb. And I think mixing it with cinnamon, it's okay. Not sure I'd do it again. I think it's usefully used up some ingredients that we had for another recipe. It's perfectly passable rhubarb. I just think cinnamon I don't think belongs with it. There's a tip. That will go down on the rhubarb. You needn't mix cinnamon with this one. I know I'm a cinnamon fiend, but no, that one's got no place, I don't think. Doesn't bring anything to the party, so to speak. So what we'll just do for a minute. So you and I can just have a chin wag, Mr. Nosler. Get some of this washing up done. In fact, let's do it. Let's take you to a new part of the kitchen. It's coming over to the washing up central. Haven't actually ever brought the camera over here before. So let's just see where we might put you. Does that work? Without falling over? Oops-a-doodle. Right, there we go. So, because we're going to have to wait for another good 13 minutes before we get going, so let's just clear some of this out of the way. And we'll do a drying up session later. So yes, back in the day my things were, well, again, you could throw any hand to it. The revolution, I know, we've moved 180 degrees. I'll get my marigolds on in a second. So yes, it was, you know, the likes of football and hockey and cricket, all the sorts of things that young lads would do. I just wasn't exactly very good at it. It was all brawn and no skill. So these days I like things like well, natural things, like going for a walk in the countryside, or yoga, for example, or Tai Chi, or things that tend to be less contacty. I don't even go jogging these days, for example, or if I do go to a gym, when obviously you've not got the likes of COVID keeping us all locked down, I'll avoid anything that's a high impact on the knees, because I'm afraid I'm just not of that age where that's okay for me. So here we are, yes, change of scenery. I mean, you know, clearly all these people watching the likes of, you know, Players Unknown Battleground and thousands of people watching, you know, Apex Legends, but they're not seeing live action washing up. Oh, Mr. Nozzle, I'll tell you something. You're an absolute star for sticking out what is you effectively having a chat with a man in the suds, in the fairy liquid, waiting for his questionable cauliflower tots to finish cooking. God bless you for finding our corner of Twitch, Mr. Nosler. And God bless you even more for staying and hanging around. You're a brave fellow. Oh, goodness. I used to enjoy and did judo. Now, there's a sport. I love the self-defense nature of that. Yeah, absolutely. Nowadays, just not that fussed. Yeah, to be like, yeah, and you do get to a point where you think, actually, the nicest things you can see are not really the inside of a gym. But go for a nice walk. You know, I suppose that's the hardest thing for Mrs. Al and I, because obviously we're out here in the countryside. But you still have to kind of obey the rules and the paths, for example, that you have to walk on. You've got to obey, the formal and informal rules of the countryside. You can't just go marching over people's property. Then you can't keep a social distance. But I'm not griping here, because compared to people that, for example, must have like a flat in the city centre, I don't know how they're doing it. And hats off to them if they're managing to actually do it and not go out and about from. Because there are days where I'm not quite sure what we would do if you didn't just have that simple ability just to step out for a little bit. So what does keeping active look like for you these days, Mr. Nosler? I'll be honest, I'm going to be interested when Mrs. Owl comes down, because clearly the last chapter of the Korean book has had her enthralled. That's what she's thinking. Thank God for the peace and quiet from that madman. I know where he is. He cannot disturb me. I mean, actually, when we're not locked, we're not all locked in. When I'm travelling around and about the country, I tend to actually do a recommended daily activity just by moving from A to B and back to B again. Well, again, as Mrs. Al and I were remarking, it's it's kind of now that we've started. I quite like. I mean, one of the many reasons. It's quite nice, obviously, to be able to work from home, and I'm sort of realising that now. Mostly cycle rides and walks. Yes, that's a super way of doing it. Not to mention, you've got that ability. It gets you out and about, and there's something very good for. I think good for the blood pressure and good for the heart, good for the soul to be out in the countryside. Nature is a natural soother, I think. Although again, we're a bit of a hybrid. This is how I would agree. But if for example those walks can coincide themselves with a nice high street and a coffee shop, then both of our needs have been well met. And it's Mrs. Owl. Hello, Mrs. Owl. Oh, pigeons back on the bird feed. Mr. Nosler is braving watching me do the washing up. The camera has moved over. He's stayed like a trooper. Mrs. Owl is scaring away a pigeon. She did it. There it goes. Right, got 5 minutes until these cauliflower tots come through. So it's Mr. Nosler and I have just been chatting, and when I realised that we had quite a while for it to come out the oven, we've come for a radical change of camera angle. It's high quality stuff. Other people are watching, the next best thing in computer games and esports. Mr. Nosler here, bless his heart, is having a chat and listening to me chat and do the washing up.
Oh dear. So how did your coronation salad go?
The coronation salad needed a bit more yoghurt and a bit more seasoning, but I like it.
Does it taste like coronation-y stuff?
It tastes even better. The yoghurt is much better than the mayonnaise.
Oh, cool.
The thing that's going to be questionable is these cauliflower tots.
Oh no, really?
Yeah.
Why?
Just because they, well, one, they don't look anything like they do in the picture. If you grab the book, which is just there, and have a look at the picture, then have a look at what's in the
Well,
other.
also I know what tater tots look like.
Oh, okay. Well, bear in mind, it said it should make 30 to 40.
Okay.
Well, the pleasure, you're too kind, Mr. Noz. It's our pleasure to chat with you. It's always lovely having you here.
Where are the... Oh, here they are. Oh, right.
You see, if you look at those pictures,
Yeah.
they don't look anything like what's in the oven.
You know what I think?
What's that?
Because obviously it says they make... You say that they make 40. Where does it say that?
If you read the recipe part way down, it says it makes 30 to 40.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't.
Short sausage shapes. Well, I think that's it then, Chris.
So, it's only Mr. Noz. So, I mean, the thing is, it's that they're as short as I dare to make them. So, any shorter and they're not sausages.
Well, yeah, because there are such things as cocktail sausages.
Oh gosh, do you think that's
This
what it
will be a close-up photo, and they should just be small.
Well, they just look like ciabattas to me.
No, they're not, definitely not.
Right, I think
that would
Mr.
be a zoomed-in photo.
Oh, Mr. Nozzle said, the pleasure's all mine. Prefer streams where there's more interactivity with viewers in the stream than watching the same mindless game of read out donations and acting great. Well, that's never going to be us, Mr. Nozzle. We're always, we will, there is going to be a donate button on it, but I never expect anyone to click it. It's just there. We're not doing it for that. It's to do it to chat. And to do this and to share something nice and chat with nice people. Mrs. Owl, if you probably just heard, has stumbled upon the answer. It's a matter of perspective. These should have been cocktail sausages, and I've had in my head real sausages.
I mean, that's just what I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Can I sit on the sofa?
Yeah, the camera angle is such that poor Mr. Nosler is just seeing a growing pile of washing up. Isn't he a star? He's wonderful. Do you not think this is quite... you know what, let's be fair. This bit is not quality content. This is just the washing up. And I tried putting... the rhubarb was obviously past its best.
Yeah.
There was a bit of sugar mixed with cinnamon, so I thought, what the heck? I'll give it a go.
Yeah.
It's okay, but it doesn't really add anything to it. So that's one to remember for the future. Don't bother adding cinnamon to the mix.
How much? I mean, there's just a bit, 'cause we've got tons of cinnamon sugar that you keep in fancy.
No, I went to find it all. It's all been used. There was exactly 48 grams, and I normally put in between 40 and 50. So I thought, what the heck? We will just use it. So that's just... You finished your book. I was just saying to Mr. Nosley that you were reading a book about Korea. Was it good towards the end?
Yeah, it ended very abruptly,
It suddenly stopped.
but it like...
What's your next one? What's the next book after Korea?
I don't know what to read next. I've got a few that I need to read that I haven't read yet, so...
Plenty of options. Jolly good. Well, what I'll suggest, Mr. Nosler, as well, is there'll be a tiny break between this and going upstairs. So if you fancy grabbing your own snacks as well, when we do, if you're hanging around for the room, then we will briefly come off and on. So we can have our hopefully interesting cauliflower, whatever you calls them. Grab a sort of snack of your...
They actually do taste good, so through and stuff like that.
Yes, there is also that. And the camera fell over. Oops, daisy. Am I sure I want to end the stream? No, I do not. Thank you. Right, hang on. Cauliflower's nearly ready, Mr. Nosler, so let's bring you back. Let's come on.
What flavouring went into it?
It's a mild curry, garam masala. And the onion granules, the gravy granules.
Not gravy granules.
Garlic. Sorry, not gravy. Aha! But there was a lot.
Well, the timing now might all be off if they're not meant to be that big. Because They're meant to be nice and brown, and yours don't look brown.
You have to baste them part way through.
Alright.
So let's just grab something to put them down on.
What is basting?
You're meant to baste them with another egg
Oh,
and brush them with a bit of... One egg goes in, and one egg is for...
basting.
Yeah. So...
Very strange.
It is, and the recipe, as we were just chatting about, is wrong in places, not just sort of misguided. Like the start of it said, for example, in fact, hang on, it bears reading.
Maybe we should have read it before we decided to
I
make
mean, I did, and then I had to read it again because, and I've lost the page for not the first time today. Here we go. It says 1 large potato peeled and cut into 1 centimetre, 1 inch cubes of about 240 grams weight.
Yeah.
Then it says at the start, preheat the oven, stab the potato with a fork, so they're not in cubes, obviously. Then microwave on high for 7 to 8 minutes until it's cooked. Remove from the microwave, allow to cool slightly, or bake the potato in the oven for 45 minutes until soft in the middle when pricked with a fork. So to me...
So you're meant to bake the potato and then scoop it out?
Exactly. And that's what the next thing says. When it goes, half the potato, scoop the flesh into a bowl, mash with a fork.
So what did it say about cubes?
Exactly. That's wrong. But by the time we'd realised that, we'd actually done that. So what I think it meant was make mashed potato.
Yeah.
However you want to make mashed potato, make mashed potato. So maybe that was an error just in translation. So let's... So I'm going to beat 1 more egg. Oop. I'm going to try not to drop the shell into it. So there we go. I do know what you mean about the thing that I saw about this streamer who got themselves into a right pickle because, if I'm not mistaken, they were effectively admonishing their audience for the fact that there wasn't a donation or a sub for the last hour. And you think, I think you're missing the point here. That seemed immensely entitled to me. So no, none of that here. Thank you very much. Instead, we shall solve puzzles with rooms with strange keys and weights and magnificent amounts of clicking. So here we are. I'll just baste these. Let's say 1 beaten egg. So we've done that side. Let's grab our tongs wherever I have put them. There they are. So let's see if these turn over with any ease, or do they break apart? No, they're coming off fairly well, so just gently. Whoop, that one broke apart just a little. So then we'll baste the other side, give it a little egg wash. I'll do it with a brush actually for this. In fact, Mr. Nosler was just saying he's got a building work starting near his soon.
Oh, we're going to have the same, aren't we?
Yeah. I'm saying the same actually. It's all well and good, but it can be quite disruptive.
It's like all the dust and stuff.
Yeah.
That's the worst thing.
Yeah, the kicking up of everything into the air, and then, you know, everything from your car to your brickwork to your windows, and
Yeah.
just gets everywhere. Although we haven't at least had anyone coming in and saying, you know, can I use the loo or something like that.
Surely they wouldn't. Like, building places have site offices, don't they? So they go there.
You'd think. Oh, good grief. You never, Mr. Nosley is just saying of an example he knows of on Twitch where someone apparently said, if you have time to watch Twitch, you have $5. So there's no excuse to not give it to me.
That's so horrible.
That's appalling. But That's no, that's just not on. That's no. Sorry, I'm not with that at all. I'm afraid. I think that's fairly disgraceful behaviour. And I don't often say something quite as as forceful as that, but that's really not on. I'll admit it's not the worst thing I think that I've heard of people on Twitch and YouTube doing, but I suppose that's criminal behaviour that comes to mind after that. But I mean that just shows a lack of appreciation and understanding. I mean, not to mention it's our pleasure to have like you, Mr. Nosler, and anyone else that's watching in the background or does come to us. It's our pleasure to have you as our guests. Of course, I'm expecting it. Damn. I don't wish to sort of broad brush, but if it's dollars, I wonder whether or not this is someone maybe who is at a stage where they think it can sustain them as their one line of income, and
yeah, but
it is absolutely not excusable, even if that is the case.
You don't engender goodwill by
No.
saying criticising your audience.
Exactly. It'd be like me turning around to someone in the audience and saying, "How dare you not know that this recipe didn't mean that?" What? That's just nonsense. It's bonkers. Right, so just finish basting and turning these. I'll tell you something, they're looking more promising now that they've been in the oven for a bit.
Okay. Sorry, your phone's not tilling.
My phone is going to tilling. Mr. Nosler, my phone will tilling. So if that is what you hear, I'm tillinging. I've tillinged. What have you sent, my love?
A recipe for Vietnamese curry.
For Vietnamese? Ooh. I was just describing some of the things and the ideas we've got coming up, including your banana bread.
No, we've already made that on stream.
I know, I want to make it again.
You can't keep repeating the same things on stream. Surely that's just boring.
Okay, fine, I'll admit, I really just want the banana bread again.
Well, okay, you can make it this time.
Oh, no, I don't want to fluff it up.
No.
You made the best banana bread I've had, full stop. I want it again. Now that is being entitled, Mr. Nosler. So,
You know what? Next time we have it, we should try with the cinnamon butter.
ooh. Do you know what? That would be a good reason to do it on, again, to do it on here. Because,
No, that's not.
or maybe we can do it in the background. We'll do the cinnamon butter.
Okay.
But yes, there is an addition of cinnamon butter, Mr. Nosler. I know if you're not a fan of cinnamon, it's not that relevant, but when we had it, all I shall say is, phew. So there we go. Right, so I'm just going to finish coating these. Actually, I completely missed that one, so I'll just pour what's left on here. There's not that much left. Okay, let's. Cinnamon is. You're a fan of cinnamon. I know some of our viewers think cinnamon's not the thing. Along with the Lord of the Rings. I'll start that debate again. Right, here we go. Last bit of seasoning on there. Oh god. And it does call for another spray of this low-calorie spray again, but it seems a bit pointless to me to baste it and then spray more oil on it. No, you know what? I'm going to go with a bit of a chef's gut here. I think that's just too much on top of it. So let's put that back in. Then magic round off. So that's. Ooh. I'm making the oven do silly things. Hang on. I don't want you to do that. Turn that one off. Wrong timer. 15 minutes. And there we go. I think, anyway. Ooh. So, yes, Vietnamese curry. What's in it, my love?
You know, chicken and veg and stuff. But it has like lemongrass. It has your usual like cinnamon, cardamom.
Lemongrass, cinnamon, cardamom. Yeah.
Harmonies.
Mm-hmm.
It does have coconut
Okay.
milk, and it seems to be cooked or coconut oil plays a role. But curry and really enjoyed it. So I don't think necessarily that it's coconutty.
Yeah.
Or we could just make massaman curry, because I love massaman curry.
You like massaman?
Yeah.
Cool.
I love massaman.
I'll be down for that. You got a favourite curry, Mr. Nosler? Sorry, we're just chatting curries here. So, when I met, I tell you what, I shall tell you a story. When I met Mrs. Owl on my hopeless attempts to woo her, because of all the things I've been good in life, let's just say dating, I think I must have missed the lessons in high school or in secondary school or whatever. And decided at one point in our culinary adventures that we would have, well, we decided to have curry. And I was adventurous and ordered, was it? Oh God, samba, wasn't it?
Yeah.
A samba curry. And it absolutely melted my brain to pieces. And I had to try and sort of man my way through it and not act as though I was dying. Did it work, my love?
No.
No. Not even close. Oh, goodness. It was funny, though. Chicken tikka. I like a tikka. I'll be honest, one of the things that I'm really excited to do, but also dreading at the same time, is our version of the Hot Wings Challenge, because, yeah, normally you'd have me at korma or lamb biryani. Some of the spice levels that we could get to, I think, are potentially sort of eye-watering, mouth melting. Mrs. Owl has already said, in fairness, she does not think that she will last long in the eating of the. Do you know much about the hot ones with On First We Feast, Mr. Nosler? Is it something you've encountered? If not, I can thoroughly recommend it. It's a really good format for interviewing. So that's just for our snack when we go upstairs. That's actually quite a lot. I probably won't need all of it. But it is good.
So is it better than normal Coronation chicken?
I don't know, because obviously Coronation chicken's hot, cheesy. But I do like the fact that there's no mayo. Oh, you are a fan? Jolly good. Yes, not only do we want to try it, we want to try it as well when we can get the family around. Because I've got people that we'd like to play with as well, and because they all play games. Some of my followers here, my brother is Andrewilus. There's Rob Anybody, who's also decided to follow me. Thank you very much, Rob. He's my younger brother, and there's Sarana, and that's my sister-in-law. And when we can, we thought maybe we'd have them all around and see how they do. But we'll give it a trial run first. But maybe I'm thinking doing it with oysters or thighs rather than chicken wings. What do you think, my love?
No, I want to do the cauliflower, the vegan way.
Oh, you want the vegan ones, not the chicken? Because I could do it with thighs instead of wings if you prefer. You just rather do the vegan version?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fine. So then we can even try that. That'd be good. We can add that in. Try, vegan chicken pops, I suppose there would be.
Because someone, my friend, is making cauliflower wings.
Cauliflower wings. Ah, do you know what, actually? I'm just bringing Mr. Nosler in for an oven side shot. So they're doing quite well in there. So just add an extra 30 seconds. I mean, actually, in theory, these things would be a good vehicle if they're quite sort of light tasting and you took out the flavouring. If they're nice in texture, these would do quite well for...
Yeah.
Because then you could just dip them in the sauce as much as you wanted and just have that.
Yeah.
Right, whilst we're here, so yeah, we're going to be wrapping up inside of, I think, 10 minutes, Mr. Nosler. We've made it this far, so I think, what the heck, let's get them out of the oven and try them. But I'm just going to get one of my jars and we'll decant the rhubarb whilst we're here. I tell you what, being this close to the oven has left me absolutely roasted. Whew. We've got less washing up than normal, which is good. I enjoyed watching, by the way, the Terry Crews one. I thought was really good. So let's just try and remember where my camera is. So I'll just decant that into here. And then what we'll do is we'll get straight upstairs, get the room 2 running, and we shall crack on. So if you want to grab a drink, Mr. Nosler, or a snack of some sort, that's what we'll do. We'll relocate upstairs with our cauliflower and our waters and our various drinks. And we shall spend maybe an hour and a bit trying to get through another chapter of the room. Sorry, the room 2 even. Oh, I missed a bit. Hang on. So, yeah, it's definitely not ruined the rhubarb having the cinnamon in, but I wouldn't repeat it. You'll be there. Super, good man. I'll be glad to have you there. So, just there we go. A bit darker than normal, but not too shabby. We'll do even better if I stop opening the. If I stop opening it up. There we go. That was nice. I'm so warm. I'm just going to run and grab some water. So just bear with me a second. In fact, I can't put the intermission music on because it's disappeared behind Twitch. But pardon me if I turn my back for a second. Ooh. The oven has made me terribly warm. Oh, goodness. Ooh. And that's, I hadn't looked at the guidance, but Mrs. Owl did, and has found. Sorry, pardon me a second. That some of the older games apparently don't react with Streamlabs, which might have been the problem last night, I think. But we shall see. I think that's us mostly tidied up now. I think. Do you want a coffee or anything, love?
Yeah, can do.
Yeah.
Keep me awake.
For the. I tell you what. We'll do, because I think it is just you here today, Mr. Nosler, so I will do a full kitchen thing, but because you're with us and you stuck it out, let's just come for a coffee machine making experience. So we've got our...
Showing so much mess about...
I know, there's a lot of mess, but here's our coffee machine. So just pop you there for a sec. Yeah, the kitchen's a bomb site. That tends to be my effect on things. So which I frequently apologise to Mrs. Owl. Let's just whip up a quick coffee or two in fact. So let's just power this on. There we are. So rather pleased with it so far. VI, absolutely. Which, if you're going to stick out watching up, Mr. Nosler, we'll show you around the kitchen. So we'll do this again in due course, but you can have a look now. So it's actually warming up for the. Oh, it's just doing a warming up cycle. Professional stuff, this. It is, I'm pleased to say, meant to make that noise. So I'm trying to recreate the Italian coffees that we liked on our holidays and our honeymoon. And we're finding that I need barista level milk alternatives, which we haven't got at the moment. So that's just gone through a rinse cycle. So in fact, I'll make it do a second one just to really heat up the pipes. So get a nice hot coffee. What would you like, love? Attempt at macchiato? Or just a latte?
The
earlier
You
when
know,
you...
with the foam.
Sure. So we've even as well got a burr grinder for grinding our own beans, which I won't use this time. So let's just pop us there. Ah, now it's telling me that I've run it twice. It's run out of water. Hang on. So if you're interested in coffee machines, you've got tank along the side. Grab here and pull. Hey presto. Simple refill. Slide it back in. There we go. Right, so let's turn our Nook nozzle to one side. Let's make sure we've got some beans in. We need some beans. Right, now Mr. Nozzle can come back for a second. Let's go and find some beans. Not the Heinz variety. It's the only ones we got in at the moment. We bought some on our last trip around Venice. A delightful place who I shall give credit to on Instagram. A place called Terra Fazione if you ever fancy a trip to Venice. So, got the top. Because it's also got its own grinder inside if you don't want the more high-powered burr grinder. So if we just pour some more beans in there. So this bit will be a tad. Have I cleaned up your coffee mug, Pat?
Quite possibly.
Or is it upstairs?
It's not upstairs.
Oh, I don't know where it is. Right, hang on. Important thing for coffee, actually finding a receptacle to put it in. Give me 1 second, Mr. Noslett.
It's not upstairs.
Sure.
Yeah, for sure, because I had peppermint tea upstairs.
Where is it?
Oh, it's here.
Oh. There we are. Right, we're back. We have favoured mug. We have other mug. Now, the only difficulty I'm having is with the milk itself. Because it's not barista level quality, it's not getting that
I've still not ordered that.
No, I need to. So, here we go. Long coffee. It's loud, sorry. Sorry about the noise. There we go. Oh, wait, that's the wrong button. Swap. I've made my coffee first. That's a mistake. Hang on. That was a quick swap. I did this last time. I've clicked the wrong button twice now. So there we go. However, I can be getting... So, the tip apparently is to fill up to just below the lip of your spout. And that's not getting personal, that's the recommendation. So this is actually just a nice long coffee, this one. So, there we are. So in fact what I meant to clip was this one over here for a spot of espresso for Mrs. Al. Yeah, I think it's not, if you enjoy things like coffee, and I know I don't tend to at the weekend as much as I can avoid it, but if you're going to have a nice cup of coffee, I suppose, it's worth that little bit extra. So let's try that again. I'll just cover up your microphone, Mr. Noslett, because the grinding's a little loud. So hang on a sec. I tell you something, the cauliflower is looking better than I thought it was going to. So I think we're going to be all right on the snack front. So I tell you as well, the smell of the coffee, Mr. Nosler, is... I think it's tremendous just because it's that fresh, and also we're lucky because we have some Italian... Oh, excuse me, hang on, big beater. Thank you. Right, let's whip these out quickly. Get Mrs. Owl's coffee put together. So here is where I struggle a bit because of the nature of the milk. So I've got my frother here. So click steam setting, but just at the top of the milk. Try and get an elastic texture to the coffee. But because it's almond milk, that's tricky. Though it was okay last time. There, right. Oh, that bit's hot. So, we've got our coffee there, just little tap, try and lose some of the bubbles, but because it's not barista quality, I can't get that same... Oh, I tell you what though, it's not bad this time.
Well no, it looks good last time too. They just deflate quickly.
So there we are. One Italian coffee. But I shall put it over here, and perhaps if Mrs. Owl comes to join us. And there we go for now, Mr. Nosler. So when we do that again, you can be, aha, I saw it first. And then just going to give a little coffee maintenance, wipe down my spout. I get it too personal. And then let's turn that off. Go back through its cycle. So we're all ready, my love. Do you want to come over and try one? So let's have a look. Now, texture-wise, they're nice and soft. There's a nice smell coming off them. Just break it apart. It's piping hot in the middle, really, really hot. But they don't look bad at all. Do you want to try that bit? It's really hot though, you need to blow. Okay. So hang on.
What do you think? I haven't tasted it yet. I wanted you to be my guinea pig.
I think it tastes fine, but by fine, it needs a lot more. It could take a lot of seasoning though, don't you think?
Yeah. You know what I miss from it?
What do you miss?
Actual onion. I think actual onion in it would be so nice. Like,
you're right.
Even if you just ground it really finely or something.
Yeah.
A lot rather than...
Yeah, what I'm getting from this is there's a mistake in the recipe, and I know that the idea is to make a healthy version of this. This one's actually got stuck to the paper, we'll leave it. But it's basically a useful vessel to put other flavours in. So you could...
You could amp everything up, I think.
Yeah, I don't actually know why. I disagree with that in the sense that they're trying to do a healthy whatever.
Tater tot.
Yeah, tater tot. But I mean, a bit of seasoning's not going to tip someone over their calorie count, is it?
No.
I mean, even this won't because it's a low-calorie version. It's nice. I was really worried it would come out badly wrong, but the texture's nice. What do you think? Do you think the texture could be better? I mean, I'm still seeing some bits of...
Yeah, like...
Some little bits of cauliflower
I think
still
it could be done... That could be done, like, finer, maybe.
Maybe... Oh, hot.
Can I try one of these little ones?
Yeah, try one of the small ones, see if they're
These
better.
look really nice and crunchy.
I think maybe...
That looks nice and crunchy.
That one looks even better. I'll try that one, see what you think. I think the answer is to re-put it back in a food processor. What do you think of the smaller ones?
My main problem is what I'm finding with these recipes from this book garlic granules, garlic powder or whatever it is.
It's not sitting in the background, is it? It's playing a predominant flavour rather than being...
And I'm not a big fan of garlic, so it's instantly detectable to me.
Yeah. And actually these needed even more spread, because I mean you can see they're just sticking to the foil.
Well, you decided...
No, I followed the recipe. It said grease the foil. So, yeah. I think we're going to do these again, and I think I'm going to take out the... I think we skip the garlic granules completely, because they're not sitting in the background like a garlic flavour should. It's overpowering.
I think it's fine to add garlic as like a flavour enhancer.
Yeah, to enhance, but it shouldn't be the first thing.
I think you could do with more salt.
I suppose they leave that out because that's the unhealthy bit, but I mean...
It's not always unhealthy, though.
Yeah, I mean...
I think the colour on them is fantastic. I think the crunch is good.
Yeah.
I think real onion would be better.
I think blitzing it again in the food processor for the right texture.
Yeah, and to get it all mixed in together well.
Yeah.
But I think it's a good little, like... snacky finger food.
Yeah, I agree. And if you're looking for a healthy finger food...
Yeah, then it's good. If you need to get people who don't like eating cauliflower to eat cauliflower...
Yes, this is a good way to smuggle it in.
Yeah.
Just say it's potato.
You know, most people, I think, and you'll probably enjoy it with a dip or like ketchup.
Yeah.
Like, I bet it would taste really good with like a dip or ketchup or something.
Or again, if you actually stripped out all the flavouring, if you want to do...
The bottoms that are stuck are really nice.
Yeah, we're finding this. We're picking here at the tray because the nicest bits at the bottom.
So caramelisation important.
Yeah.
Here, do you want to do the rest?
Yeah, go on, we'll stick them all on. I don't know whether or not we'll eat them all.
I probably will, I'm starving.
You're starving? Right,
Yeah.
okay, good. Well, in that case, they're not being left over. So, I
Oh,
think...
it's a nice little...
I think what we can say, Mr. Nosler, is that this is going to be a winner. I think it's going to need the Mr. and Mrs. Owl touch to tweak the recipe.
Yeah, I think definitely. I'd definitely repeat it though, because it's...
Yeah, we'll definitely do it again.
Is it worth the effort?
I think it is. That's actually a good criteria to actually tell Mr. Nosler and the chaps and anyone else. Was it worth... Is it a recipe that's worth the time? I think the answer's got to be yes. Because if you're not particularly snacky, but say like now we're going to go up, we're going to do the room 2 for a bit, it's finger food. But it's not finger food that's going to leave you feeling bloated or it's certainly not greasy. There's no excess fat, oil. I just ate a bit with a ton of pepper on it, so that's really sitting on my tongue very nicely.
Yeah, same. I had some with a lot of pepper.
Yeah.
That was nice.
And I'm thinking, if we couldn't get a hold of the vegan things, if I stripped out all the flavouring and you dipped it in the hot sauce...
Oh, yeah. That would work well.
That would be...
Yeah.
So there we go. That's our snacks. And now, Mr. Nosler, there'll be a little interlude. This will turn off and we'll turn back on again. We're going to relocate upstairs with the computer. And then it's going to be us, some coffee, you, some snacks, and we're going to have another crack at the room 2. So thank you very much for joining us for part 1.
Thank you for staying so long.
Yes, thank you for hanging on so long with the washing up and the making of the... Hope you enjoyed it. As you call it, the VIP content. I think to us, you are our VIP. So thank you very much for joining us. As ever, it's always a pleasure. And we're going to see you in 5 minutes, hopefully. Yeah. So we'll hopefully see you then.
Oh my God, you're so messy.
Yes, I'm very messy. So toodly boo. We'll see you in 5.
Bye.
Bye.